Hey guys, xyhax here, coming at you from xyhax.blogspot.com. That's xyhax.blogspot.com. Doing another daily Wonder Trade giveaway here. Today we're going to have Integral, the one Integral in the background. I'm going to leave a link for the Integral in the post, and go check him out on YouTube. He does some fucking great stuff. His Myths and Mysteries series, his Pokemon Origins series, he really covers some phenomenal Pokélore. So, Proto Mario, Moody Pawns, Jay Flynn, Justin Flynn, and the one Integral. I'd suggest to go check all those guys out. They all are really big Pokemon fans that do some really phenomenal videos. That said, we're going to have the Integral play in the background here. Well, we give away some shiny legendary trio Pokemon. So we're going to be giving all these shinies away, including the level 1 6IV level 1 creation trio. And well, all the legendary trios, as it were. So, let's get started with Groudon. And we'll get Integral stuff going here. And then I'll pipe down so you can enjoy it.
Hi guys, the one Integral here, and welcome back to Pokemon Origins, Myths and Mysteries. This episode might be a little bit shorter than the others. I'm not sure if I want to make lots of small episodes or some longer ones with multiple theories in. As always, I would love your thoughts on that, and I'm sure you know the drill of that by now. Another quick note before we begin this episode. As some of you may know, today marks the beginning of ME Awareness Week. If you don't know, ME is a significantly debilitating medical condition that is characterized by persistent fatigue. Now, obviously, this week is to raise awareness on it, and I'm going to leave an annotation on screen now and a link down below to some people I know who kind of, raise money for it and stuff. So be sure to check that out and donate money if you can, or just help them out any way you can. Yeah. So let's get on with it, guys.
See, Integral's a good dude.
War never changes. The Romans waged war to gather slaves and wealth.
This is about the Kanto War, or the Kanto War theory.
Hitler shaped a battered Germany into an economic superpower, but war never changes. The French leader Napoleon once said, "A soldier will fight long and hard for a bit of coloured ribbon." Replace a bit of coloured ribbon with gym badges or the title of league champion, and I'm sure we can all relate to that. Now, Pokemon and war are not two words that would be considered particularly synonymous, but today we're going to take a look at the theory that paints a somewhat darker picture of the Pokemon world, or at least the Kanto region. And as a stark contrast to the usual bright, pastel, colourful universe we are used to. Let's delve a little deeper into the theory of the Poké War. Now, aside from a couple of coincidences and little hints that could hint towards this being true, there isn't much in the way of hard evidence to back this theory up. Our main source of information is from Lieutenant Surge, who, when speaking to in the games, offers up a unique twist to the Pokeverse. He says, "Hey kid, what do you think you're doing here? You won't live long in combat, that's for sure. I'll tell you what, kid, electric Pokemon saved me during the war." Now, the information that we can gather from this is that at some point, somewhere, at some time, there was a war that involved Pokemon. That is the main bulk of the evidence, but I shall now explain that a few of the smaller coincidences also contributing towards the legitimacy of this theory. So think back to the last time you played Pokemon. The vast majority of trainers that you faced wandering around in the wilderness were children. There were plenty of elderly men and women in the world, Professor Oak being an example, and also many middle-aged women, the nurses and your mum being two of them. But there is a seeming lack of middle-aged men. What about your father, or your rival's father? Where are they at? Lieutenant Surge mentions being a survivor of some sort of brutal war that almost took his life, and it's believed that the other trainers in the gym that he owns were once soldiers in an army, which as most armies do before fighting a war. A war where Pokemon were used as weapons. Now, as we have proved with the Origins series, At times, the scaling of the Pokemon does tend to be a little bit off with what we have seen in the anime, and some of you have pointed out in the comments that you are as tall as, or indeed taller than guys such as Charizard or Blastoise. I don't know about you, but the thought of trying to storm a beach held down by goddamn Charizard scares the life out of me, no matter how tall they may be. My point here being that this war has been speculated to cause a generation kill, that the young children of the Kanto region are the first generation to find peace. This can explain why both your father and your rival's father and most middle-aged men are missing, as they may have sadly died. One thing that has also always baffled me in the Pokemon games is how fresh water can cost more and heal more than a potion, an item designed for healing. This could be due to the war, much like in Fallout 3, where the water is irradiated or contaminated, and fresh water is a luxury only a few can afford. Now, we're not 100% sure where TMs come from, but a possible suggestion is that they were engineered as a means of warfare. They enabled Pokemon to learn more powerful moves and complicated movesets to give them an edge over the opposition. As I mentioned before, there are a few things that sort of help with this, but mostly they just happen to coincide with this theory and don't really offer up much. But if you wish to read about them, I will post a link in the description to the Reddit page where I saw some of this information. So you do think that this is something that Game Freak may shed more light on in a future game? Would you honestly want to hear about a war which could well have involved one of your beloved Pokemon? Thinking about it, we have never really been told if Pokemon have a lifespan, and without knowing the date of the Pokewar, it is more than possible that your current team could have been alive and fighting around the time of the war. A quick note before I wrap this up, a lot of you commented asking for the Cubo and Kangaskhan theory. That is coming very soon. We've had a few problems with writing it, but don't worry, your voices have been heard and that will be an episode in the near future. As for now, comment, subscribe so you don't miss any of these episodes, and keep telling me what you think. I choose what episodes we do based on your comments, and which episodes end up in the top comment spot and get a lot of likes. So if someone comments, hey, do this theory, and you want to see it, like that comment to get to the top. Thanks for watching, and I will be back soon with more myths and mysteries. Goodbye, guys.
The Brass Tower Theory. The one integral.
Hi there, and here we are again with another Pokemon Origins Myths and Mysteries. It's always such a pleasure making these for you, so let's have a few laughs, and afterwards we can all eat some cake. So this episode will be a bit of a small one, as we've had to put it together last minute, but we do have something pretty awesome planned which will more than make up for this, but that is taking up a lot of our time to put together. To start with, a small quiz. What is the word that links all of these words together? Galata, Cien, Eiffel. That's right, they are all names of famous towers. Today we're going to be looking at a tower that may not be known as well as these, but within the Pokemon universe is shrouded in mystery and intrigue. Today I present to you the mystery of the Brass Tower. So flashback 150 years before the events of Pokemon Gold and Silver. Upon entering Ecruteak City, you will have seen two mighty multi-tier towers, one to the east, the Tin Tower, and one to the west, the Brass Tower. The Brass Tower was said to awaken Pokemon, whereas its counterpart, the Tin Tower, was where Pokemon were laid to rest. According to legend, the Pokemon Lugia once perched atop the Brass Tower until one day a fire swarmed through the tower, causing it to fleece the world islands for safety. And this is where this myth really starts. A strange sequence of events took place that day, causing Lugia to flee from its tower. It was like any other day. The sun was setting over the Johto skyline, and there was a light, crisp breeze flowing through Ecruteak. Out of nowhere, a freak bolt of lightning seared down from the sky, striking the top of the Brass Tower, causing it to erupt into flames. But the inferno was only allowed to breathe briefly, as before it had time to completely engulf the tower, a sudden onset of rain calmed the flames. The damage was unrepairable, but it's said that 3 Pokemon lost their lives that day. 3 nameless Pokemon perished in the fire, but Ho descended from the sky and resurrected them. The Pokemon are said to embody 3 powers: the lightning that struck the tower, the fire that burned the tower, and the rain that put out the fire. When the Pokemon appeared, they struck terror in those who saw their rise. 3 Pokemon, knowing their own power, fled, running like the wind off into the grassland. So what if the Pokemon that died in the tower were Flareon, Vaporeon, and Jolteon, and they were resurrected into their legendary beasts? The evidence we have is here. The types match. Suicune and Vaporeon are both water types, Raikou and Jolteon are both electric types, and Entei and Flareon are both fire types. Also, both sets are 4-legged beasts. The final piece of evidence is the stat distribution. Vaporeon and Suicune are both bulky water types high in defense. Flareon and Entei are both physical fire types. And Raikou and Jolteon are both fast electric types. I certainly feel that this could be true, but there's been no official confirmation and I don't think there ever will be. I think this is just one of the things that we can probably think would be a nice addition, though the evidence we have are probably just coincidences. So guys, that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember to tune in next week where we have a very special episode for you then. I will see you guys next time. Goodbye. Hello guys, and welcome back to Pokemon Origins Myths and Mysteries. So today we're going to look at 3 very quick and simple theories or myths. First up, we have a nice little evolution theory. Now, have you ever noticed that Rotom's body, its actual body, not the electricity coming off of it, but just the orange body, is very similar to what you would imagine Shuppet's body being without the cloth covering it? So what if you put a cloth over Rotom? Say, for example, a Reaper cloth, an evolution method synonymous with ghost types, which both Rotom and Shuppet are. The cloth would insulate Rotom's electricity and reduce it to a ball, with the cloth hanging over it.
Crazy, they both had the point on their head. It really,
electric typing
it really does look like a Rotom covered up by a cloth.
What do you guys think?
Shuppet.
Next up, we have a little theory surrounding Haunter and a Pokeball. So what would happen if we took Haunter's eyes and put them on a Pokeball? That would happen. And what looks very similar to that? Yes, a Voltorb. So maybe a Voltorb is a Pokeball that is possessed by a Haunter, and the Haunter is trapped inside, hence the lack of the button from the Pokeball. So eventually this Voltorb-Haunter combo explodes to escape. This would explain how Voltorb can learn both self-destruct and explosion. Again, what are your guys' thoughts? And finally we look at Kabutops here. We learn from Kabuto's Pokedex entry that it inhabited beaches 300 million years ago. So therefore we can take from that both Kabuto and Kabutops have been around for over 300 million years. And now if we bring in Genesect and look at its dex entry, it says, over 300 million years ago, it was feared as the strongest of hunters. It has been modified by Team Plasma. So let's raise some questions.
Is Genesect
a modified revived Kabutops? Team Plasma, being an Unova organization, wouldn't know anything about Kabutops, since they are native, or were native, to the Kanto region. So maybe they revived it and modified it in some ways, slap on some purple armor, add a drive to its back, and then bam, you have a Genesect. So we may be able to conclude that Genesect is a Kabutops, or at least very closely related to one. I ask of you all again, what do you think? So guys, that concludes today's video. Fairly short, but I couldn't really grab anything else from all these 3 theories, but it's better than one theory, isn't it, guys? Anyway, remember to tune in next time. I'll be seeing you. Hey guys, and welcome back to another install of Myths and Mysteries. Today, we're going to be talking about Giratina, and how it could be the devil, or the equivalent of Satan, in the Pokemon world. If we first look at the story of Satan, we can see that he is a character that appears in the text of Abrahamic religions, and he personifies evil and temptation. In Christianity, most Christians believe Satan to be an angel who rebelled against God, and thus was cast out of heaven and into hell. He is also commonly held to be the one who spoke through the serpent and persuaded Eve to disobey God's command to not eat the fruit from a certain tree in the garden. The number 666 is also held in deep connection with Satan, as the Bible teaches that the number 6 is the number of man, and a common man is born in his sin. The number of God's creation is 7, and therefore 6 falls short to the glory of God. Also, God himself is a Trinity, being the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And since Satan likes to counterfeit God, you have a Trinity, or a group of 3 of 6s, 666. So if we now turn to look at Giratina. First of all, it is the Renegade Pokemon, and Renegade means rebellious. And also, Pokedex entries say that it was banished for its violence and sent to the Distortion World by Arceus, the creation deity of the Pokemon world, much like Satan was cast out of heaven by God. Also, in its origin form, Giratina is serpent-like, which could correlate directly to the snake who tempted Eve, which, as we have already said, was Satan, or at least a being that was being controlled by him. Finally, when in its altered form, Giratina has 6 legs, 6 chest spikes, and 6 wing spikes, forming 666, the number associated with the devil. As well as this, in its origin form, it has 6 spikes down the side of its body, as well as, again, 6 chest spikes, and this time 6 tentacle-like wings with spikes on the end, again forming 666. So what do you guys think? Is Giratina intended to be the devil of the Pokemon world, or is this all just a big coincidence? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll be seeing you next week with hopefully a Creepy Chronicles. So guys, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye. Hey guys, and welcome back to Pokemon Origins Myths and Mysteries. Now, in last week's episode, I said I had something special coming out this week concerning myths and mysteries. However, I've had to postpone that even further due to complications with some aspects of this video. So, here's another quick myths episode to whet your appetite. Today we're going to look at analysing a possible evolution switch that could have been made in the late stage of development of the first generation. Have you ever noticed that Metapod and Butterfree don't really resemble each other too much? And the same with Venonat and Venomoth. What if maybe, just maybe, Butterfree and Venomoth were switched around at the last minute? That would make much more sense. So, this is basically today's theory. The theory surrounding the possible switching of Metapod and Venonat's evolutions. If we take a look at this evidence, we can see there is some decent proof supporting this theory.
Yeah.
First, we're going to take a look at Weedle, Kakuna, and Beedrill. We can see that when Weedle evolves into Kakuna, it keeps a similar colouring and body shape, and also its eyes are of a very similar style. Then when Kakuna evolves into Beedrill, these style of eyes again carry over, but are now red instead of black. And Beedrill's body seems to have grown from the cocoon, its arms and wings breaking out from the side, and its stinger from the bottom. But now if we look at Caterpie, Metatron and Butterfree, we can see that the colouring and eyes do indeed carry over from Caterpie to Metapod, but when we look at Butterfree, we see that its eyes are completely different, and its body shape differs greatly from what we saw with Beedrill and what we may expect. And finally Venonat and Venomoth, we can see that the eyes change in the opposite way that Metapod to Butterfree did, going from fly-like eyes to normal eyes. Now if we can compare it with Venonat and Butterfree, we can see that the eyes match, as do the hands, and the antenna, and the mouth. And with Venomoth, you can sort of see that it has a similar body shape to Metapod, as well as one like Beedrill, and the fact that moths come from chrysalids like butterflies backs this up. And if all of this information hasn't convinced you, maybe this will. So if we're assuming that these two are switched towards the end of the development, then maybe the developers didn't have enough time to fully switch them around. We can see this may be a possibility, as Butterfree is both its English and Japanese names, suggesting that it did not have time to come up with an altered one. And finally, Venomoth's Japanese name is Morphon, which may refer to Morpho, which is, get this, a genus of butterfly. These butterflies actually look quite similar to Butterfree too. So maybe, what I'm thinking is that the developers switched these two for whatever reason, but kept the original Japanese name for Butterfree, Morphon, when they changed, and quickly came out with Butterfree for Venomoth's original position. What do you think of this theory? Was Metapod originally going to evolve into Venomoth, and Venonat into Butterfree? Or is this just a very strange coincidence? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to drop a like on the video, and subscribe for more myths and mysteries. I'll see you next time, guys. Peace. Hey guys, and welcome back to Pokemon Origins Myths and Mysteries. Again, today we're going to be looking at another X and Y theory, so I hope you will enjoy it. Unfortunately, this is going to be a fairly short video, as I've had to just, spend a little less time of it because of the recent changes with my channel, but I hope you guys don't mind it too much. I saw a lot of comments relating to this theory in comments on the last episode, so I hope you guys appreciate the fact that I am actually doing it. So last time we looked at the DNA references, and someone tweeted me actually saying that when a Pokemon Mega evolves, you actually see the symbol above their head, and I saw a couple of comments about it as well. It's the DNA symbol sort of thing. Yes, obviously that is again relating to evolutions and DNA. As I said, I just forgot about it really, and a lot of people kept saying, "Oh, that the little symbol in the logo is the mega evolution symbol." No, it's not. It's also a DNA double helix. It's interchangeable. You can't look at, for example, a Pokeball and say that's the Pokemon logo, and then no, it's also a Pokeball. Something along those lines is what I'm trying to think of there, guys. Wasn't a huge, really great example, but you know what I'm trying to get at there. And then obviously in the comments on the last episode,
definitely the DNA symbol.
I did see this theory, and the theory was what we have Pokemon X and Y coming out. Many of us are expecting a Pokemon Z or a Pokemon Z, and I would like to say, if you guys ever did some sort of maths at school, which I'm hoping you did, you remember or know that the 3D planes are X, Y, or the 2D planes are X and Y axis, and then if you have a 3D plane in there, you have the Z axis as well, so X, Y, Z. So, that would make it a good trio, surely. And obviously X, Y, and Z is, generally known for trio as a trio anyway. But this is the first Pokemon game to be in 3D, thanks to the 3DS. So maybe that relates to it as well, because we have X, Y, and Z, the 3 dimensions, and this is the first Pokemon game or Pokemon generation in 3D. So maybe it relates to that. What do you guys think? I'd like you to discuss this in the comments below. And if any of you pick up any interesting points, I will certainly respond to you. So guys, thank you for watching. I hope you didn't mind this shorter little episode here. But next week or the week after, you'll be seeing some more mysteries with X and Y theories. So guys, thank you for watching. I'll be seeing you guys next time. Goodbye.
Oh, one of my favorites. This one's really good.
Hi guys, the One Integral here, and welcome to episode 5 of Pokemon Origins Myths and Mysteries. In this episode, we're going to look at links between Cubone and Kangaskhan, a possible link to Charmander, and an odd connection with the infamous missing no. So, the theory goes like this. It is believed that the baby inside Kangaskhan's pouch will one day grow up to be a Cubone if the mother dies. And this is where the tale gets a little bit sinister and like something out of the Brothers Grimm. It is also believed that the skull Cubone dons upon its head is the skull of its mother. Yeah, that's right, its dead mother. Just think about that for a second. Okay, don't think about it that much, it's kind of gross. As a matter of fact, some people think this traumatic experience of losing its mother may change the very evolutionary path of the Pokemon, causing it to metamorphose into the skull-wearing, club-wielding Pokemon we all know and love.
Cubone.
In the Pokemon Red and Blue Beta, Cubone was originally known as Orphon, a corruption of the word orphan, based on its abandonment at birth. But anyway, this theory has been around for a while. It is a popular theory among fandom, but there is no real evidence supporting this theory, other than the fact that the skull does bear some resemblance to Kangaskhan's head, with a long snout, pointy ears, and large eyes. Now on to Missing No. Missing No can be found via the Viridian Old Man glitch and the Mew glitch. The simpler of the two starts when you talk to the Old Viridian Man in Viridian City. You then watch a Pokemon demonstration, after which you fly to Cinnabar Island, which is where a lot of the info from this series comes from. A lot of creepy stuff seems to be going on over there. And walk or surf along the coast. You may see a high leveler or a Missing No. Note this is not in Pokemon Yellow. Now here is the interesting part. If you successfully catch a Missing No and feed it a rare candy, it evolves into none other than Kangaskhan. In case you're wondering what Missing No actually is and how it occurs, here is the computer science behind it. If you're not interested in this, feel free to skip ahead, as I know this won't be for everyone's tastes. Anyway, if you're still here, thanks for sticking around. So, encountering Missing No is a result of 3 computing events. The first is the game's random battle encounter system. Each area assigns values to a Pokemon in a data buffer. And if you don't speak computer, that is a region of physical memory storage used to temporarily store data while it's being moved from one place to another, which the game accesses for the player's encounters with wild Pokemon. However, no values are assigned to this buffer on the east coast of Cinnabar Island and Seafoam Island. The information from the previously visited area is used instead. Factor number 2 is the in-game tutorial, which temporarily stores the player's name in the data buffer. This causes the game to access the hexadecimal values of the player's name for Pokemon encounters at Cinnabar and Seafoam Island. The third factor is the game's error handling system. If the game selects a value from the data buffer as not an existing Pokemon, a subroutine is triggered that causes the appearance of a Pokemon named Missing No, short for Missing Number. As with any wild Pokemon, you may flee from, fight, or capture Missing No. And after an encounter of Missing No, the quantity of the 6th item in the main menu is increased by 128, and the Hall of Flame gallery has been permanently glitched. Temporary graphical glitches may also occur, which can be removed by visiting the statistics page for another Pokemon or resetting the console. A captured missing no is a fully functional Pokemon and appears in the game's Pokemon index as number 000 or 000. All missing numbers possess consistent abilities, types, statistics, and sounds. So what was missing no before it was removed from the game? A pre-evolution to Kangaskhan, perhaps? It has been said that the only reason it evolves into Kangaskhan is because of her position in the internal programming, but I like to think there's more than that. Also, a fun fact, due to Missing No's ability to learn Cut and Fly, by teaching it those moves and then evolving it into a Kangaskhan and then teaching that HMO 3 and 4, you can have a Kangaskhan with 4 HMs on its belt, which is pretty sweet if you ask me, if not slightly overpowered or useless. The final theory I've to put forward is a very simple one, and will probably come as a relief to most of you who are stuck through around all of that. So I mentioned before that the skull looks like Kangaskhan's, but it could also potentially be his Charizard's skull. And if you picture Cubo without the skull, he looks an awful lot like one of our fiery starter friends. That's just my thoughts, but I want to know what you think about this theory. Do you believe them? Have you got any thoughts on what Missing No was going to be? And do you think that Cubo should be renamed as the Bruce Wayne of the Pokemon world? So, like or dislike this video, but if you do want to dislike, please leave some constructive criticism in the comments as well, as it helps me improve these videos instead of just thinking that someone doesn't like them. As per usual, feedback is generally appreciated, so keep that coming. Let me know what you want to see next in this series. I've covered most of the big topics, and we're moving on to the smaller ones now. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you guys next time. Goodbye.
Love the Cubone episode. Gary's Raticate.
Hello everyone, the One Integral here, and welcome back to Pokemon Origins Myths and Mysteries. After the positive responses that I've had on the last episode, I've decided this is definitely a series I want to keep making for you guys. I really appreciate any feedback given in the comments, and I do make an effort to read as many of them as I can. So if you wish to see a specific theory on here, feel free to comment it down below, as I'm going to try and fit it in as many as possible into this series. So picture the scene. You're on a boat, but not just any boat. No, this is a great luxury cruise liner, the xyhax. You feel the salty sea wind rushing through your hair, and the sun is beaming down brightly on your face. And then you notice across the deck your least favourite person in the world, aside from youngster Joey that is, Gary Oak. You try and keep your head down, hoping not to make eye contact with him, but no, he spots you, and like he always does, challenges you to a Pokemon battle at the most inconvenient of times. And this is where we begin. This is the theory of Gary Oak and his Raticate. So back to the xyhax. You mop the floor with him and tell him to take a hike. And that's all we see of Gary Oak until we encounter him again in the Pokemon Town in Lavender Town, the town famous for its nightmare-inducing theme music. Now I'm not going to ask what you were doing in what is essentially a giant mausoleum, but when you get there you see Gary. Instead of leading with a cheery hello, he says this to you. Do you know what it's like to have a Pokemon die? I mean, it's a fair enough question. Many trainers bring their dead Pokemon to the lab. Wait a minute. What is Gary doing at a tower that's meant to be the resting place of dead Pokemon? See, some fans noticed that his Raticate he battled earlier is no longer in his party. Yes, he could have removed it from his team. To be fair, it is a pretty terrible Pokemon at the end of the day, unless of course it's in the top 10% of Raticates, of course. But what kind of trainer takes a Pokemon out and doesn't replace it with another one? Yep, that's right. The evidence suggests you killed his Raticate. After knocking it out on the xyhax, it is believed that your rival couldn't get to a Pokemon Center amid the chaos on the boat, which resulted in his beloved Pokemon's passing away. He is in Lavender Town to lay to rest and say goodbye to his once faithful friend, a friend that you killed. Good job. I hope you feel proud. Although saying that, he never outwardly tells you that you're responsible for the death. If you believe this theory, well then, you kind of are. He hides his grief and instead uses that energy to drive himself to become the Indigo League champion, tearfully swearing upon his Raticate's grave not to fail in what he set out to do. He trains hard in the hopes of becoming better than you, defeating you, and to eventually make it to the Pokemon League. Mere moments after he becomes League champion, however, he is crushed, by you no less. Although he has fulfilled his promise to his fallen Pokemon, it was for a painfully brief moment. So did you crush your rival's dreams, steal his innocence, and cause the death of his Pokemon? Or did he simply release his Raticate in favour of a type that more complemented his team? Leave your thoughts down in the comments, but please remember that these are just theories, and unless stated, nothing is confirmed officially. These are all myths. As I said at the start, I'm always looking to improve this series for you, so if you have any suggestions of ways these videos can be improved, or theories you would like me to cover, whether they be ones already well known, or ones you have thought of yourself as a result of watching this, then please let me know. If you enjoyed this video and are enjoying this series, then